I'm going to show you the basics of how to use Blender. As you've probably already heard from one of our sessions, Blender is open source 3D computer graphics software. It is used for creating animations, 3D and 2D, visual effects, art, and motion graphics. And for our application right now, we are going to be using it for 3D printing. So to open up Blender, you just go to the applications menu right here and go down to graphics and then go to Blender to open up Blender. All right, when it opens up, it'll look like this. It might not be expanded full screen, so you might have to expand it to full screen, and you'll get a splash screen like this. So if it's not full screen, make it full screen by just clicking the button up here. And when you go into the software, it might look overwhelming at first. And just remember that even experts who have been using Blender for years don't necessarily use all the functions. And you're just starting out, so don't get overwhelmed. I'm going to go over how to navigate in the software, how to transform objects, and how to manipulate the interface as a start off of how to use the software before we actually start making things. This is the default view. What I'm going to actually do is close this version of Blender because I have another one already open. And the only difference between the one that I just now opened for you and the one that I already have open is that I have a plugin installed on this one turned on so you can see which keys I'm using. So when you go into the software, it's not clear how you can manipulate the objects in here. So we have a couple objects in this scene, this default scene. We have a camera, we have a cube, and we have a light source. Right now, the cube is what is selected. You know it's selected because there's a little yellow line around it. That's an indication from Blender that it is selected. The way to select things, you right-click on them. So if I wanted to select the camera, I right-click here. If I wanted to select the light source, the lamp, I right-click here. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do mostly for right now when we're talking about navigation is select the cube as our reference point. One of the things you can do to actually move around this scene is to orbit objects. So to orbit this cube, you can press the middle mouse button or the scroll wheel. You can see that it's highlighted there, and move your mouse around to orbit around the object that is selected. Okay. You can see down there in this indicator, again, is showing which buttons I'm clicking. All right, now what I can also do is pan from side to side. So say I'm right here, and I just want to move over. I want to press Shift and then the middle mouse button to pan from side to side, okay? The other thing you can do is zoom in and out. And you do that by using the mouse wheel. So you can use the mouse wheel. I'm not pushing any buttons right now. I'm just using the mouse wheel to zoom in and out, okay? So with those three actions, you can move and orientate around the scene here, or the objects that are here, okay? Right now we only have the three objects. And like I said, you don't really need to worry about these other objects right now. The other way that you can navigate very quickly is by using the number pad. Now, you guys have smaller keyboards, so you don't have number pads. So what you actually need to do is go up here into File and then go to Preferences, User Preferences, and then click Input, and then click Emulate Number Pad. If you have that selected, if it's already selected, then you can press the number keys above your letters to change the view in the viewport. So 1 changes it, moves over to front perspective, it says it up here, okay? 2 is the user's perspective, 3 is the right perspective, 1 is the front, 3 is the right perspective, 4 user perspective, 5 is ortho, 6 is user ortho, 7 is top view, so we're looking at it from the top, the cube from the top. You can see the camera over here, the light over there at 7. 9 just does the opposite. So if you wanted to look at the bottom, you can press 9. It would go to the bottom ortho, okay? Or if you wanted to press 1, if you press 9, it'll just flip whatever you have, okay? So we have front ortho. You press 9, it'll just do the reverse, okay? So if you press 3, which is right ortho, press 9, you get left ortho, okay? You can see here that we have the axis on left ortho and the y-axis, and you can see the axis down here, the axis down here that is available, okay? One of the things I want to show you is how to look through the camera. Now, you're not going to need this when doing models for 3D printing, but if you want to create 3D animation, you might want to use it. So if you press 0, you'll get the view through the camera. So if you create a scene, this is what will be rendered out in your 3D animation, okay? So if I click off of this, use the mouse button, click off of this to change my view back to more of a 3D view here. That's the basics of navigating the interface. Now what we need to do is move on to transforming, and that's the next thing I'll teach you.